Oh, we're live. Nice.
Here we go. Hi, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
We need little. Oh yeah, there are names at the bottom of underneath people. Can people who are seeing the stream see people's names? Or is it just at our end?
No, I didn't.
I don't think so. Can see some, but not the whole list.
Yeah, okay.
But it could just be that I can't use the software, so we'll just we'll see how this goes.
No, there are no names.
All right, great. See, Tansy's here to back me up.
There are. Will someone just say yes and just be done with it, please?
Confusing us. Yeah, where's everybody watching from tonight?
Yeah.
Or maybe not tonight, this morning, this afternoon.
Felt FaceTime whenever it suits.
Sydney. Oh, you met Michelle, didn't you, Ngaire?
Yeah, I was going to say hi, Michelle. Nice to see your name.
Mark's from Sydney too.
Hi, Mark.
I don't know. Well, someone was from like...
We've got Notionware, actually.
Auckland, Spain, UK. Nice.
Oh, Cape Town, Africa again. We need a map, Lennon. We need a... Like
couldn't you render something that as people say where they are, it starts to like put pins, you know?
There is, Crowdcast has some analytics that sort of show you
it does.
the version.
Cardiff.
Oh, I love Cardiff. They got the Doctor Who Museum there. I have been. Because I'm a nerd. When I was 13, I went to Europe with my parents, and I was turning 13. And I know. And they said, "Where do you want to go? Like when you turn 13?" I said, "I want to go to the Doctor Who Museum in Cardiff." Because
nice.
I was a nerd even at 12. It was
that's great.
a bit of a sad moment, I think, but it was a great museum.
That's not sad.
Yeah.
Company.
God no.
The world has changed significantly from, like, I've got a son who's 10 and now it's like cool to be a nerd. Like they're all really, but I grew up in like the 80s where nerds were not cool. They weren't rich and playboys yet. They were still in dark closets, you know, hiding
They were
away.
Inventing what was about to make them rich.
That's right. If only we knew, hey? Should have embraced it.
Cool. I might start sharing my screen.
Yeah, nice. Oh, hey, Lennon, did you see I posted yesterday about, what's it called? Wunder Presenter or something like that?
Yeah, so the one turn Notion into slides.
Wunder Presentation, yeah.
I'm yet to check it out, actually.
I know, we should give it a whirl next time.
Yeah. Cool, we might get started. And just for everyone's information, I can actually hear myself with 3 seconds delay at the moment.
Oh, no.
So I'll do this 10 minutes and I'll disappear for 1 minute and come back.
Fair.
Cool. So welcome everyone again. With me tonight are Tim, Ngaire from Sydney, and then Tansy from Bairnsdale, Victoria.
Yeah.
Awesome. Welcome. And welcome everyone to joining the 4th events of Notion Australia. And the title for this time is Notion for Personal Knowledge Base. We'll do kind of a routine run through of this page. So welcome again. Feel free to use the poll to tell us how long have you been using Notion? Are you using it for your personal purpose or business purpose or both? And on the right-hand side of the screen, if it is the first time you join Crowdcast, feel free to let us know where you are, what time it is for you right now. And feel free to use it to chat to our speakers or chat to us. Cool. Before we get started, I want to do a little bit of acknowledgement. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm hosting this event from Royal Warring Country and pay my respect to their elders past, present, and future. I also want to acknowledge the current global context, especially with Victoria, Melbourne in Australia, with the pandemic and various other movements and challenges being faced around the world. There are a lot of things that's going on for everyone at the moment. We are here to support each other, not only in the Notion community, but also the global one. As this context continues to evolve, we have an opportunity to empower each other, develop shared resilience, and work creatively so we can rise to new challenges. That would trips me every single time to work on that. Cool, housekeeping. So again, say something nice in the chat. Today won't be, I don't think we provided any takeaway links, but our site is at the bottom of the screen. And later, when Tansy starts talking, she will share an article with us on basically how she structured this chat, and all of the details goes into her fascinating Notion workspace. Use the ask a question to ask us any question. We can actually answer your question with video clips that are attached to that. So we've actually started one question, which is let us know if you have any future ideas that we should run in crowdcast events or Zoom events where we host kind of build with us session. It's okay to take toilet break or take a phone call. That's all fine. And please give us some feedback via the poll at the end of the session, where Tim probably will churn out a couple of more questions there. Cool. Agenda. So tonight, starting from 6:30, now it's 6:37. 3 minutes later, Ngaire will jump in and start sharing her workspace. And Ngaire is quite interesting because she kind of wear multiple hats, and will kind of have a short break with 10 minutes from 7:10, which is the Q&A session. And then after that, Tansy will show us her setup, and then followed by a Q&A and wrap up. Latest, we'll wrap up everything by 8 today. What to expect? So again, Ngaire and Tansy are both Power Notion users, and we're definitely in really good hands tonight. Everything today is about personal knowledge base. So everyone has their own way of organizing personal knowledge. And we would really like to show you 2 different possibilities that you might be able to draw some inspiration from it. And again, all of our crowdcast events are about showing you how powerful Notion could be. It could be a little bit overwhelming if it is the first time you kind of join these events, or you are just a noob for Notion, and that's all okay. Make sure you ask plenty of questions, and we'll always follow up with Q&A and build with a session to take a slower pace to introduce some more Notion tricks to you. Final section. So again, a little bit ad for us, for me and Tim. So this is Tim and Lennon teaming it up. And we're doing this obviously because we really love Notion. Our goal is really just to connect Notion lovers in Australia and time zone neighbors. Because the events in the US might require to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning. And we want you to enjoy events that's within your comfortable time zone. So as tradition, I'll go through our website again. So this is our this is our website built in Notion, and it's hosted by Fruition. So on this page, you can always find out what's the next event's going to happen. For tonight, it's Notion for Personal Knowledge Base, which is the events you are currently in. You can always watch all of the past events. We've got 3 major events, and we've actually recorded the latest Build With Us events, which is I went through how I built a plant nursery in Notion. And all of these events are now available in our YouTube channel. And we just set it up last week, and we're getting some traction already. So feel free to jump here if you need to rewatch anything. Templates that we're going to churn out in this Build With Us session, you can find them here. And again, link to YouTube channels. FAQs to get you started if you are first-time Notion users. And just a little bit spiel about Tim and myself. I'm going to quickly scroll through that. And finally, we would just like you to contribute, like how Tansy and Ngaire are contributing to us tonight. Welcome to email us to say you want to be a guest speaker, either on crowdcast events or Zoom events. Be our Q&A panelist or be our subjects if you want to get something built for yourself. Be our community partner if you want to, if you enjoy kind of running events. Again, send us email. And really, anything Notion related, we want to hear from you. and use these emails, use these channels to reach us. Cool. Awesome. So I will hand the microphone to Ngaire now, who is our first speaker joining from Sydney. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Lennon. Let me just get the screen share happening.
Yep. And I'll just quickly quit and come back.
No problems. Okay. Great. Oh. We are up and running. So yes, as Lennon said, my name's Ngaire. You probably saw it spelled, it's a bit wacky, but it's pronounced kind of like diary, you know, if you ever have to talk to me on the phone and you feel awkward about it. I'm a marketer and a bit of a productivity junkie. So kind of that person which you probably relate, like if something new comes up in the market, I was always like, oh, I've got to jump on that. I've got to see what it's all about. I'm kind of pretty passionate about life optimization and knowledge management, hence why I really love Notion. And I'm going to kind of take you through a couple of things that I do today. I do quite a few things in my life. I work for a tech company in the edge tech field as a marketer. As I said, I am also have an online business running marketing education courses for small businesses. I do freelance content writing sometimes. I have a podcast on productivity. And there's kind of lots of other things I do just for fun, and some of that is just spending time in Notion. Obviously, this is kind of what my dashboard looks like. I found Notion listening to Charged, the podcast, which I don't know if anyone else listens to Charged, but I recommend it. If you like tech, it's really interesting. And I had never heard of it before. This is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And I just thought, that sounds amazing. I have to check it out. But I was actually a really hardcore Evernote user, and I thought I was never going to leave Evernote because it was amazing, and I loved Evernote, and I don't know why I thought that at the time. But I felt a bit guilty, to be honest, checking out Notion. But I was won over because it's just got the ability to be beautiful and functional. And that's what I love the most about it, is that I can make it look nice, but it also can do whatever I need it to do. So I didn't have any regrets switching over, even though I had a lot of leaver's guilt when I stopped being an Evernote user. But yeah, I haven't looked back, and I would probably describe Notion as, it's kind of like my digital brain, because I don't have the greatest memory and I do a lot of chaotic things in my life. So I like to give the illusion that I'm organized, and therefore enter Notion, which holds all the random stuff I do and things I have to remember. And then at least I never think, where did I write it on that scrappy piece of paper? I just know that it's in Notion. So that is pretty much how I like to use it. So yeah, let's dive in and have a little bit of a look. I am going to look at my monitor while I scroll you through it. So just enjoy my side profile while we go through it. Okay, so this is obviously my dashboard. I kind of have split things into 3 categories, if I can count. Business, personal, and productivity. And as you can kind of see, I have a couple of subcategories under that. They're a bit more fluid. Active clients obviously always exists because I've pretty much always got active clients. And I just link in the pages out of my kind of client section, which sits under here. Ngaire Creative is my business. So it sits under there, and I just link them in and then delete them when I'm not working on them. This I've set up mainly because I like to have a top level view of everything. I don't really search much in Notion. I tend to kind of click for what I want. Therefore, if I'm reaching for a page a lot, I put it on my dashboard because I like to just land on my dashboard and go where I want to go. So that's the reason that I've set it up in this way. And I just think it looks nice, and I'm into that. So it's not super technical. And I think you'll find most of my Notion setup isn't really technical. I tend to go for functional and beautiful. And in terms of what I do, I don't require a lot of things that are very formulated. I like things to be neat and tidy and for me to know where they live. So that's why I've set it up like this. So let's have look at a couple of things that I use often. Let's just start with, so I have a habit tracker. I feel like most people probably use something like a habit tracker in Notion. I don't like the mess, as I say. Let's just see how my internet goes. So with my habit tracker, I have 2 filters set up, one which shows everything, and the one that I most commonly look at is the upcoming days. So obviously it's set up templated, so if I click start a new month, I'm ready to go for October. But at the moment, I normally have it set to upcoming, so I can just come in at the end of the day and say, what did I do? I didn't go to the gym today. That was terrible. I did go for a walk. I didn't do my Bible reading, but I did drink 3 liters of water. Tick for me. I did, 2 out of 4 things that I try to do every day. And then when I'm satisfied that I've done things, I tick complete and it disappears. Because of my filtering settings. And I like this because, as I say, it's clean. I don't have to scroll down a big list to get to the day I'm up to, which is what I used to do, and that just drove me mad. But obviously, if I want to look at everything, I have an all days filter, and then you can see all the different things eventually. So if I want to go back and look at, oh, it's not working. Okay, it was working, technical fail. Oh, there we go. If I want to go back and see how I did in the month, did I reach my goal of going to the gym X amount of times, then I can see in the tracker in all days. So that's something I use every day, obviously, and it's connected to the fact that I'm big on goal setting. If you have encountered me before and ever listened to my podcast, I probably bang on about goal setting like in every episode. And I set my goals in monthly focuses. At the beginning of the year, I'll show you my kind of template for it that I set up initially. I set up a kind of big look at what do I want to achieve in the year, and then set up different months so I can put in my monthly focus, because I find I'm easily distracted. So I like to know what I want to achieve, but also only look at 1 month. What am I going to work on this month, so that I don't totally lose the plot and not achieve anything. I don't know if anyone else knows that feeling. So I'm not going to show you my full actual goals, just because, you don't need to know everything about my life, not on the first meet anyway. So this is kind of how I have it structured. Three big goals is probably how mostly I'll plan my year. There's only so many things you can achieve. Other things I might want to just be aware of, but aren't necessarily that I'm going to measure. And then set in here my monthly focuses. Now, as you can see, I think I showed this to Lennon, and he was like, wow, it's very pretty. And I'm like, yes, that's, there's a vibe, right? There's a vibe of my Notion, but the reality is I like things to look nice.
That's awesome. And
yeah, with Notion you can. So yeah, this is kind of how I have it set up, and I'll just show you on my dashboard. I've got the current month linked, and this, you can look at this, learn things about me. But this is my current month, September. You can see that I've got it planned, the goal areas. So if you look at the full page of my goal setting, like I just showed you before, but the one I actually have filled in, it'll show what months I've planned. So the idea would be that, we're reaching the end of September. I should jump in and plan October to make sure I know where I'm going and check back in with my main goals. My goal areas, this is around making sure that I am not spending my whole life focused on one area of my life. These are things I've identified that are important to me, and then I can just kind of check in with my goals in that way. And then some things like what I want to actually do, and a nice quote because I like to be inspired, and things like that, and some notable events and stuff. The design for my focuses and my goal setting in general is partially inspired by Sean Blanc's workbook, Plan Your Year. I don't know if anyone's done it, but it's pretty good, and I would recommend. It's kind of a whole process that you go through to assess your previous year and look at all the facets of your life in order to set goals. So if you're the goal setting kind and you want to do something that kind of sets perspective for a year that's been and helps you plan for the next one, I'd look up Sean Blanc. He has some cool things, and he's you purchase the workbook, but it's not very expensive. But it's a really nice system to even just go through. I can see someone in the chat bought Plan Your Year. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's a nice format if you like that kind of thing. And obviously, I don't use that every year now, but I kind of took inspiration from it to put it into Notion, which I find happens a lot. I like to think, how can I turn this PDF into something in my workspace? Okay, so another thing that I use every day is my note taking. And I have my note taking set up just as a database, obviously. And then this is actually recently reset this up. I had a previous system, wasn't really working for me. So this one is the new one. It's ACES. And I've just set it up with tags and linked from my dashboard, so that as soon as I'm on a call with someone, which happens a lot because I work remotely, I just open up a quick note inside of my note-taking database, so that I make sure that I'm capturing everything in one place. So then I don't have that frantic, I took notes somewhere feeling, which I used to have all the time. So that's really great to be able to have it in one spot. And then I know that I can go to a different place. Like if I go to Edval, which is the company I work for, I can see in Edval a show of that database that just includes the Edval notes, which I'm sure will load for you in a sec. So obviously there's another table there, but yeah, so, okay, it's broken. It works the other day, I promise. This is like getting wild. It's like as soon as I go live, nothing is working.
That's all good.
So I did have a filter working just the other day, but the concept is the same, right? That I'll be able to see the database in different places, but it shows me the relevant data. So there's a bug in the system, and I'll fix that up. Interestingly, another thing that I do in terms of my knowledge management, which comes down to, I think, I like things to be ordered. And I think if I feel like my Notion workspace is in chaos, my brain is in chaos, because like I say, I think it's a bit of a reflection of my brain. So I mainly put things into tables. In a lot of my, if you flip through my whole workspace, you find lots of things are sat into tables. And for me, it's less about being able to sort through the data. I don't actually need them to be in a database. However, I do like things to be neat. So when I start to get a crazy list of things, I actually often put them into tables, or at least put them into common, into like kind of like common columns and things like that. Luke, yes, that's exactly what's happening. Sorry, Luke has said in the chat that the filters is probably that I'm in the browser. I never use Notion in my browser. It's absolutely what it is. It's just taken away all my defaults, so that's fine. It was just here to make me look bad. That's
interesting finding. And I have to take the blame, because I recommended Ngaire to use the browser because we want you to have a little bit of zoom in view on the thing, and Notion window might be too small. So I'll take the blame for that. You keep going, Ngaire.
Thanks, Lennon. I needed that. Yeah, okay, so what else? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, I kind of take a less clicks approach to a lot of what I do. Hence, and I would say that mostly what you see on the dashboard is what I use. Some of this I've recently set up. I actually, a couple of months ago, decided to completely change my workspace, because, you ever get that inspiration of, I'm just going to make it different. And I think that is actually part of the iteration process of what's so amazing about Notion, is that I don't find that I'm outgrowing it, even though I've used it for quite a few years. It's just that each time I kind of rejig my workspace, or the way that I use it, Notion grows, I grow personally, and we start to work out a system that really suits me. So as I kind of said at the beginning, I kind of juggle a lot of balls. I have, you know, I have a job and I have all these kinds of things. I have a couple of businesses and personal pursuits. And I do find that Notion kind of grows with me on that, even though I use a lot of other tools. And it's a bit sad to me that I can't just use Notion for everything. But I still find that it is helpful for me to know that I have a place that just holds everything I need to know. Because in my company as well, we don't have like a specific, we use like G Suite and things like that, but we're not using like a specific task manager or anything. So I appreciate that I can have Notion as my personal source of truth, which I think is what I tend to call it. I tend to call it that a lot. So another thing I've started building out, but this one's pretty new, is I started building out a library. This is because I didn't have a list of books or anything anywhere, or articles, or a place to save things. And I used to use, as in when I was an Evernote user, forever ago, you would web clip things. So as soon as I would come up with articles, I'm just like clipping them all into Evernote. The problem was, however, though, I had then this exhaustive list of clips that I never actually got around to reading. So the idea was I recently kind of compiled things into one library. And my aim is to put in podcast episodes, you know, these kinds of things like replay, crowdcast, whatever it might be, any sort of media that I want to consume and learn from into my library, so that I can go one central place and say, okay, I've finished this, what next? Or, you know, perhaps, I don't know if you have this experience, okay, I actually have an hour and I know that there's things out there that I thought, oh, when I have time, I'll read that email newsletter. I don't know if you've had that experience. My idea would be that if I fill it with in a library in Notion, then I just go and then I can just filter to what haven't I read. I've got some other things set up in here around like, is it long, is it short, those kinds of things. What kind of media is it? And then I can say, great, this is an article that Todoist has written, and I just saw it at one point and thought this would be really great. Chuck it in here as a link, so I know, okay, yeah, I've got 20 minutes. I could sit down and read that. Which for me, because I like to take notes as I read things, I kind of needed a central place to start populating. So that one's newish, and I haven't yet, I guess, got my own system yet of when, you know, when do I put a podcast into it? When do I do, you know, those kinds of things? But I'm sure I'll figure that out as I go along. So the other thing I thought I would show, I have on my dashboard, I kind of have like little, here's my actual note-taking database. That's where it lives, just down the bottom there. I just never scroll down that far to look at it. I put in here, these are my things to do in Notion. It's like the Notion to-do list. So obviously there's a couple of things that I either have wanted to do, or this one I've actually started. So let's pop that in that. And this one I finished. So let's get rid of it. And that's purely because, like I said, I just want to put it all in Notion. So I just keep it in lists on my dashboard, because then when I jump in and think, I just want to spend some time in Notion, I immediately know, what am I going to work on? Because as I said in the intro, I'm a bit nerdy like that. So my idea of a good time is just mucking around in Notion. I'm sure a lot of you probably know that feeling, because the software that takes a long time to set up, because it can be anything you want it to be. So you kind of have to fall in love with the process a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of where I keep my to-dos. In terms of, I guess one thing not directly related to my dashboard, but in terms of knowledge management and how I have what I have, is that it's not necessarily the smartest way to do things, or as I say, it's not necessarily the most technical way to do things. However, you know, I want function. I want something that I love being in, and something that makes me feel like I've got all my information at my fingertips, which I think is the most important thing. I love all the Notion bigs, and I watch a lot of them or listen to their stuff, but it can get crazy overwhelming to think you have to have something really technical. And I kind of hope that you can see that this is just something that works for me. It's functional. I like being in there. I feel like it fulfills what I need. And whenever I think I need something extra, I just start to build it. And in terms of the build process, as I said, I'm a marketer, and a lot of what I do is around building sequences and automations to nurture people kind of through content online. In that process, if I'm building something like that, it starts with a map, and I work exactly the same way in Notion. I think, what is the outcome I want to get? Okay, I said, what's the outcome for the library? I want one place I go where all of the media I want to consume, or maybe I have consumed, lives, and I put notes against them, and I always know what I need to read next or what I haven't finished. I want a place to hold articles and take note of email newsletters to read, all that kind of stuff. That's the outcome. And then I map back from there about what will be practical, what can be done. Yes, Notion is crazy powerful, but it's not totally limitless. And it also has to be something that I can keep up with. So I try to build things that I don't have to spend hours and hours maintaining. Hence why I try to keep things pretty simple and then not super technical, because I am extremely busy. I mean, as we all are, but I work full time in 4 days for my day job, and then I do my business as kind of like in addition to that, which means I just need something that's going to work and doesn't require too much of my brain power. So I take the outcome, and then I map back from there to create what I need, and that's pretty much how my system or my workspace has come into play. Yeah, that's probably all I have to show today.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Ngaire. And
no worries.
yeah, like I just when you are talking, and I think when we were planning, we didn't realize this is you and Tansy are sharing your personal knowledge base today, and Notion can get really, really intimate or personal when you are going through these things. And I really appreciate that you kind of spend a little bit more effort into either hiding some things or actually make things really clear and available for everyone to see that. That's awesome. And I actually share the same traits. I never use search in Notion. I always open up the sidebar, and I have a personal dashboard as well. I don't really use dashboard that much, but I rely on the sidebar a lot, which is, I know, something that Tim does not do at all. Tim is a power search user. It'll be interesting to see how Tansy kind of navigate her system later. I've captured a couple of questions. If Ngaire don't mind, we go through them.
Yeah, sure.
So the first one is just to answer Mark's question. He's really interested in your podcast. If you can just mention the name and maybe paste the link afterwards, that would be helpful.
Yeah, my podcast is called The Pursuit Project, and I'll find the link and post it.
Awesome. And we have Danny joining us today, and Danny himself is a super power Notion user, and he has his own YouTube channel. He always follows us around our events, which we really appreciate him. And I'll paste the link of his YouTube channel as well. He did ask a couple of questions, and I just want to protect Ngaire a little bit, and just to explain that I think that Danny's really want to always optimize everyone's Notion space. So he has a little bit pointed question, and I'm going to fire them away anyway, but in no way that everyone needs to follow that, I feel like. And like exactly what Ngaire said, Notion grows with you, and it's okay if you have to use 5 different databases instead of optimizing them into one, and that's entirely fine. So Danny's questions are, let me trigger this. So within the habit tracker, I think Danny's interested in your template. If Ngaire, you can kind of go into your template button just to kind of show that functionality, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, sure. So
I think it's start a new month. Yeah.
It just duplicates it.
Yep.
And then you fill it in from there.
And
so like it has see, as you can see, I've actually added something, I think.
Yeah.
And I haven't added it into my template yet.
Do you want to show maybe the new Notion user how to use that config button, like that little icon, or like that little cog icon when you change your template when you hover start a new month?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I use templates quite a lot throughout my workspace, mainly for these kinds of things. If it's something that I use all the time, obviously, and there's a couple of things, like I have one that's like a social media planner template, and it's just like the days of the week, and a spot for image and a spot for text, and you know what you would maybe do in a table in a Google Doc. I just have a template, so I just can generate it whenever I'm planning social media for my clients. Here we go is kind of how you configure it. If you're starting a new template, this would be not populated, and you'd kind of just fill in what you want. Obviously, I actually added things to my habit tracker and haven't edited my template because I recently did the upcoming day thing, because it was annoying me that I had to scroll down and see all my days. So, but if I wanted to change it, obviously I can add a column, and I can kind of set up all the new things in my template. And then you can see that I could kind of duplicate it, and then I can just close it, and if I start a new month, theoretically, it should be there.
Yep. And Ngaire, do you mind just show the audience how do you usually create a template? How do you trigger that creating a template feature in Notion?
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Let's just let it do its thing. There you go. There's like 100 months happening on my page right now.
So what Ngaire is doing is using the shortcut, which is a backslash, right? A backslash, and if you keep scrolling down, or if you type in template, you will see this template button at the bottom of this super long feature list in Notion, basically, and you will see template button.
Yeah, so I tend to mainly type in what I want. Actually, one of the things that I was most drawn to about Notion was this kind of markup concept where you just kind of slash and type in, and it's there. And I've actually seen a couple of softwares use this now. So if you click template, you can configure it. So, this is just my internet having a moment. Obviously, you can name the buttons. So obviously mine start a new month. I tend to name them like action. So it might be like plan, well, can't type.
That's okay.
Maybe you do like plan new week, or you might do like plan meals or something. And then you can do whatever you want inside of this other little box. So you might be like, okay, I want a heading, and I want a table, etc. And then you just fill it in with whatever you want, just like you would normally on a page. It auto saves, and you close it. And then if I want to plan a new week, I just click it, and it appears.
Awesome. And thanks for showing that. And just while Ngaire kind of going through that button, you can see that list has a lot more things to offer, like formulas, like table of content. If you haven't realized, there are a lot of hidden gems in Notion blocks. You can have a look. And I think just in addition to what Ngaire has just showed, you don't necessarily have to directly create content in the template block. You can always create a page, figure it as how you want, and then move them into, kind of drag them into that. That always works as well.
Yeah, and that's how I mainly create my templates. Because often I think I don't start out thinking I'm going to make a template. I start out thinking maybe this will solve a problem I'm currently experiencing. And then I think, wow, I have to do this again. This should be a template. And that's generally how it happens.
Absolutely. And I think one more question from Danny is, he's just personally interested in, I can't remember which table was it. You had two different dates, a start date and end date. Was there a particular reason you set them like two separate dates? Sorry, this is totally out of context. I'm not entirely sure which table was it actually.
That's okay. Danny, do you remember which table it was? Just wondering if you could.
It was the monthly planning ones.
I think it was the September growth and launch.
Oh, right, this one.
Yes.
Thanks, Tansy.
Oh yeah, no, it's purely that I just set up how many days are in a month.
Nice.
It's nothing more than me just filling in information and liking to have kind of it all in there. And because truly, I mean, I'm a terrible adult and I never know which months have 30 days or 31 days and this just has all the information in there. Yeah. Yep. And I also think that when I set it up, I thought that could be useful later. I'll put the dates in. This is probably as far as the thought process went. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, whatever works for you, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think we're hitting the time. And before we hand it over to Tim and Tansy, I just have one personal question. I was wondering, the flower that you've put onto that page, are they actually organized by season and month?
Oh, no, that would be really cool. That would be really cool. Maybe that's something for next year. I definitely just picked kind of like varied colors when I initially did this. But, you know, maybe I'll go for like what plant I'm going to grow in each month next year. That would be a good addition because I do like gardening. So I've got to bring that in somewhere, right?
That would be awesome. Sorry, that was just me being OCD trying to check it. And actually, we can capture this maybe. Where do you get all your icons and covers from?
Yeah, most of the images are just from Unsplash. So I just search what I want. This image is actually like I uploaded this because it's from my my business, and all the icons are just I just use the ones inside Notion at this stage, just the generic ones because I'm a fan of kind of like the color. So yeah.
Awesome.
And you can do the Unsplash searching in I just search them in Notion and yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Ngaire. Thank you very much. Cool. I might hand the mic to Tim and Tansy now.
Thanks, mate. I just had my I was very muted because my kids are in the next room watching a movie and it was so loud and I was just conscious that you're about to throw to us. I'm texting Jay like, quick, tell the kids to shut up. Anyway, there you go. So if you hear people screaming in the background, no one's dying here in Geelong. It's just a bad kids movie. Thanks very much, Ngaire. And Danny, I think I'm going to describe Danny as like he's a Notion power feature pusher man, you know? It's like he just can't help but need people to be able to see the full potential. Hey, Danny, it's amazing. He's always leveling me up.
Is he the Iron Man of Notion?
It's great. Sorry, I missed that.
I said, is he the Iron Man of Notion?
I think we've got a bit of lag. Are you guys? I think he is. I think we're getting a bit of delay. Yeah. Oh, the old Crowdcast special. Maybe do you want to jump out and jump back in? Sometimes Crowdcast can be a little laggy, so that might be the best trick.
How do I do that? Will you have to invite me back?
How do we get rid of you? Yeah, I'll invite you back. Don't worry, we'll let you back in.
You just close the browser and come back to the page. Sorry, guys. Let's just give Tansy a couple of minutes.
One thing I noticed, or I've noticed a bit talking to different users, is that often Notion has features that will enable you to do something kind of in a shortcut way. It will take out some of the manual process. But because a lot of the time we're using it to organize ourselves, some people's process requires that manual element. So I see it a lot in task management stuff. People like the process of having to kind of write the task out or pick it up and move it or click the button or, you know, and actually that's part of the way that they need to do the work. Like that's part of their process. And if you take it away by automating it, it sort of breaks it for them.
Yeah, like I feel that process very cathartic actually. I quite enjoy it. Like I would occasionally, like I specifically split out a couple of tasks that's outside of Notion and I just do them either physically. I would put out physical calendar on the wall with my partner together. And we can like keep track, make things a little bit more visual to stay out of laptop maybe. Welcome back, Tansy.
Hi. Is it
great?
Yeah.
Phew.
No,
no worries. It's just a trial. We're here. We made it.
Yeah, you know.
Nice.
Well,
Very good. So, Tansy, we should, for people who don't know, Bairnsdale is best said with a very broad Australian accent. If you can go Bairnsdale.
well, it depends. Is it Bairnsdale or Barnsdale?
I think it depends which side of town you live on, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. But for anybody who goes, where is that? It's essentially 4 hours east of Melbourne. So I live half an hour from Lakes Entrance, and was basically, the only way I can say it is where you maybe heard of the fires being from Malakuta. It ended at just behind in Wyong, which is just behind near me. So I was this year I've had fires, COVID, everything. So you know,
No more.
No more.
Nice. And what are you going to show us today, Tansy?
Well, to show you my Notion, well, my knowledge management setup, but unlike a little bit of Nari, is it? I'm sorry. Not
Ngaire, like diary.
no,
I'm fine. I'm not easily offended.
that has her system, and like I basically, well, I'll start showing my screen. I started off with doing something like para, and then slowly moved it to PVP. So a bit of sorry, hang on, that was me, not you. Here we go. Knowing some of August Bradley's stuff, and while it was good and some of it did work for me, my brain didn't fully go. I'd still have to go, where is that, and think for a second. And it wasn't till this lockdown and that I basically figured out, why not I replicate what I use at work, because I'm trained as a library technician. So I catalogue and organise books, and that by the Dewey Decimal System. So I essentially, let's just load, organised my entire life by Dewey Decimal category. And basically, yeah, I've figured out which areas I would put it in, because, and then it would go in the selected categories. So, for example,
Tansy, is
go ahead.
Is it global? Is this something everyone should know?
Yeah. Yes. If it's in a school library, it's everything. It's basically, it was invented by an American guy in 1876, and Lennon may put the article in that I go into further explain how it's broken up, but essentially it divided it into different categories of subjects, and then I've just applied that to my life. So, for example, all my general sort of knowledge stuff that when I get up to it, that is related to like knowledge and archive systems, computers, all my like daily, monthly, weekly archives under what would be considered biography, because it's essentially regoing of my life. And some of these are still kind of, well, not in use, but like some of them I'm still working on some of them, but basically wherever I think it fits within the big picture is where it'll go in. And ever since I actually figured out how to figured out, don't just do your resources and have the list of numbers, stuff it into the full database on its own like I have here. I've been just going, oh, so that's where that would be. That's where that is. That's where that is. And I know and can keep everything at a level.
Are you librarian nerdy enough to know where everything fits automatically?
No, I still have to use. There's a free.
What's 254?
I know that would be religion, because it's a religion of some sort, because 200 to 299 is just all religions.
Yep.
But it would most likely be Christian, to something to do with Christianity, because every I think 10 spaces in there. 10 spaces. It's another thing. So it's going into like not the linguistics, like the rhetoric behind religion, and then the different elements of it. And I know there's only one category, so 10 spaces for other religions, and all the rest are Christianity.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
Amazing. So what have you got stuffed in there?
Oh, well, where do you want to go? Basically, before COVID, which we all like to dream about, I do go to comedy festival once a year, and basically I don't just see one or two shows. I spend a week and I see about 10 to 20 shows. So that required some planning. So when I went to show all, hopefully, and then if I go to 2009, I basically set up, so transport, accommodation, what I wanted to buy, and then created my own, well, I changed it for when, of course, when it was in the week, I could see what was on the calendar view. But if I go back to list, I have all the shows and events and catch-ups that I did throughout my week. So I knew exactly where or who I was catching up with and at what time and what show at what venue. Because I have two other friends that I do comedy festival with, and in the 10 years that we've been doing this, we basically go all over and gone from, like, we will say, I'll see you at the end of the night, or I'll see you at this show.
You must have been exhausted.
Oh, yeah. My record, which I hate to think when I was younger, I made status and I was actually part of the festival. This is light, I would like to say, because my record is seeing 80 shows and doing 6 myself.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I was an absolute rev head back then, but I've lowered it down now, thank God. But, like, this was just a way that I could keep track of, okay, so I've got 2 shows or 3 shows at the Butterfly Club, and then I'm also catching up with a friend after his show at the club as well.
So how did you access that? Like, did you then sort of switch to mobile?
Yes. This was when I was on mobile. I could scroll through and just see the list of where it was.
That would have been in the dark days when the mobile apps were so slow.
Yes, but I didn't have a lot in Notion then. So this was like one of the first things I did in Notion.
Yep.
And then actually, this was all I did and then I went to Comedy Festival, came back and built out the rest of my system and have done for the past nearly 2 years or more.
Yeah.
No, year and a bit. I've lost track of time, as everybody else has.
So where are we? Are we which section in the Dewey Decimal System did this fit into?
We are in, which would be, so trips for me, working backwards, comes under history and geography, because I'm going from one place to another place. So hence that would come under that. And specifically, the number 910.4 is travel. So anything related to travel. Yes.
Fantastic. That's great.
And like one thing that, like, even though, and don't worry, I'm mentioning this, but I'm not going to go into detail. But if people want to message or email or contact me, I'm happy to talk further on this. Is I have a disability and and I've just recently gotten on the NDIS. And for anybody who doesn't know, that's the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Essentially, there's different ways you can do it, where you can have like an organisation manage your funds, or as I've elected, to be my own essential self-business and employ people myself to manage my own services. And this is the template so I built this for myself, and this is a template version of basically having everything in there that I need, from providers to services to treatment to my actual template of my plan. And there's bits in there for goals and the key results that if people know about the NDIS, they would exactly know.
Yeah, it's so useful. I have a son who's a participant in NDIS, and the amount of kind of paperwork and processes and worksheets and all these little bits of information that you need to remember, what you have built is awesome. I'm going to steal it and use it, because I've kind of tucked it all away. But, sorry?
I'm fully aware that this was going to be like, as soon as people realised, because it's fairly, even though it's been out for a few years, it's still a fairly new thing in Australia, and particularly for people that self-manage.
Yeah.
And for people that with a disability that are like me, who yes, there's paperwork, but my writing turns crap after 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So I needed somewhere to go in, and actually these aren't linked because of the way that it would not work when you copy it, but I've easily put in there which columns link to which databases to make it all sync up.
Fantastic. Such a good use case, you know. I mean, very niche, but that's what we love.
Very niche, but you could apply this not just for, again, this is just NDIS stuff, but you could apply this for if you were doing your own small business and same sort of thing. If you had regular clients, if you did that. And for me, that, which I haven't got because it's not going to work, hopefully. Yes. Even though I haven't got it linked, the template is in the general templates, but my actual setup of when I go into the library to get to my stuff, apart from just the payments link, it all lives in social sciences, because it's a service, and disability is, oh God, I should know this, number 362.40. There we go.
There you go.
And yeah, so essentially my life and is just, I find it easier for me that even though I don't go into the library a lot, you can go in, and for me, I can go, okay, so this is where this would live, this is where this would live.
Yeah.
And
how do you navigate to most things then? Like, are you saying you don't go into this view and then
No, not you. Okay, so I could if it's something that I don't use that often, but I still need stored. But most of my links, the ones I use extremely often, I've just started putting on the command center. So courses, notes, faults.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I do freelance writing, and I'm also writing a novel. So those are all links to different novels and stuff. And then admin, I have my daily log that just goes through, like I have it's set to a filter of what is today. And then below down here, I also have, because this is how nerdy it gets for me, is yes, I have my normal to-do tasks, but then I have this is a new one, my creative kill list, because usually there's, my brain works on, yes, you should do all these tasks and pay these bills, but, oh, there's something fun over here to look at and research. So that's essentially how my mind works, and and these are linked to the days, so I can put in what my daily logs of when these are due. But it's I'm very aware that I could condense it a bit more, but for me, the task database, when I included all my creative stuff, was just way too big, and different filters and different columns for different stuff. So it's like, just split it, because all your courses don't need to relate to your to-do tasks. They need to relate to everything you want to do creatively.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so essentially I'm somewhat amazed that I'm still, one of a better word, still not bored with it. And the fact that it's a blank slate and that I can just change it up whenever I want is wonderful.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So, like, if I want to add a picture or change things around, but still keep the basis of, like, everything. And I've always loved the idea of keeping a daily journal, and I loved bullet journaling, but the physical act of it was, I couldn't do it because of my disability, and Notion has actually allowed me to keep a journal for nearly a year come December 1st. It'll be a year.
And are you using the sort of classic bullet journal sort of structure?
I go yes and no. Like,
with the Tansy version going?
I always have the Tansy version.
I know you do.
Because basically I have, like, it related to, like, this week, and, like, I have repeating tasks, keep a track of meds and stuff. My stay at home, which is becoming a huge thing for me at the moment, because of course, everybody's going through COVID. It's horrible. And because of me and my disability, I'm at higher risk, so I can't really leave anywhere until there's a vaccine. So I have been adding stuff of events that I have been to or watched or that are coming up to be able to keep track of what I actually did during these months. And I'm currently up to 70 because I like to keep myself busy.
Not quite your comedy festival days, though. Come on.
No, but in a weird way, this is it's actually made comedy more accessible, because before of lockdown they were doing easy comedy, was Zooming it, and my best friends that I do comedy festival with, one lives in Melbourne now and the other one flies over from Hobart. so we could actually jump on and all watch a comedy show together.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
So, yeah.
So have you got your writing stuff tucked away?
Yes, I do. I was wondering, did you want me okay, well, I was going to say what one, but there is really only one that I can talk to in detail about, which would be, so I'm writing a book based on a disabled, crippled gang of Melbourne that was a real thing that lived, that functioned mainly between 1895 and 1905. This is an amalgamation of everything. It used to be just what's in here, but over time I've realised I needed more stuff and more ways to like record word count and all that. So I needed to change a few things.
Can you talk us through, because we're in a database here and I can see a bunch of relations.
Yes.
Gets me excited.
Okay. The creative kill list comes from the one that I was telling you about. So anything related to that. The goal
you go pretty hard on the emojis. Everything gets an icon.
Yes, and I get them from flat icon because I can't stand just. I'm very much also a visual person.
Right.
So if I have to have something that's related to that thing or some sync, basic way to sync everything up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise it just doesn't make sense and also doesn't look nice because I am that vain.
It's great. It looks fantastic. And then you've got, is that a word count goal?
Yeah, that's the word count goal of what I wanted overall.
Right.
But in here on Pacific, oh no, I've changed. So I was doing word count, but then I changed it. So I've actually kept count of how many words I would write per day. So I could also keep that in the forefront, because that's one of the hardest things. It's actually keeping the wheels turning and not actually just thinking, oh, I'll just deal with it another day. And even I found, like, in the last week, I haven't written about these guys in the part of the novel that I'm up to, but I'm writing articles to do with at the moment, so they also count, but in a different way.
Okay.
And yeah.
And so can I ask, are you using Notion to count the words somehow, or are you tracking that some other way?
No, yes, I am. I just haven't set up filters for that, but yes, I am. That is technically the goal. But also, I write in the writing software Scrivener, so that keeps my actual big word count of what I'm up to and then what I need to. So I kind of have a double check. But if I just want to see, oh, okay, so I wrote this on this day or I wrote this on this day, I can look it up and it's not just one big thing. And with this novel, because it's based on real events, I have to keep so I've got trial records and all that, and I also have just finally to finish up, I think, is, so I went through Trove, which is a free resource for anyone in Australia, and they've catalogued, like, all the old newspapers are available, and you can search books from all over Australia and that. But I pulled up and did a search for Valentine Keating was his name, and the Cratchy Push for any newspaper articles that came up. And this was a way. This was originally in spreadsheet, and then I managed to bring it over here because spreadsheets was great, but it didn't sort by date past the 1900s.
All right.
Like any earlier than that,
Yeah.
like it would go, no, that doesn't compute. Whereas here it's like, oh, you mean just this date?
Yeah, yeah.
So I have February 1879 right through all the way down to his death, which I know is in 1930, and I've managed to just put down so I know that and keep a record of like if I printed them or used them in my novel, and what in a list that I no longer have, what it would be relevant to, just so I can got my own
Fantastic
basis that I can go to essentially.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this is a great example of being able to do the work in the tool but have all the context right at your fingertips. You know, like once upon a pre-Notion, if you were trying to do this, you might have had a bunch of different spreadsheets and then a bunch of other documents and kind of things sort of.
Oh, it would be absolutely horrifying for me, like trying just to, and because again, I'm very much one of chronological order and dates, and my brain thinks in that way, and the same as with Dewey, it thinks in the chronological date sort of stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, that's
perfect.
I absolutely love Notion, and it is absolutely growing, and I don't expect it to stop anytime soon because of course there'll be something new that I find or figure out. But
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm actually quite glad that I've gone, okay, this is just the way that it works in my brain, and then I know, go this way and go that way. And for people that I will say that maybe aren't necessarily librarians like me, or
Can't all be librarians.
Well, no. I know it's a very special job, and I hold the keys to the kingdom. But for people who love books and love reading and are very much, if maybe not in the same vein, but if you were doing some academic stuff and were doing it over multiple disciplines and multiple areas, it could also work in that way, kind of is what I'm thinking. But for me, it's just like, oh, yeah, so that lives there and that lives there. It's essentially how my brain works on a normal day.
It's such a fantastic way of like building Notion to fit the way you work. Sometimes not sad, but like I think sometimes we rush to adopt someone else's system without stopping and thinking, actually, how do I think, you know, what's my process? Because the beauty of the tool is that it can, as you've shown in such a fantastic way, it can actually conform to the way you work rather than you having to adopt someone else's. There was a question way earlier about how you created these pictures, because these cards, you must have made these up yourself.
Yes, I did. So I will go to, I also have this, like this is just a normal gallery, but I also have this as a list. So example, and again, if like I have it set like a column in here set for categories, and I have a photo of that, which I did all these through Canva, which is free, and all these, most of the images were either found from Unsplash or a quick Google search somewhere else, and just went, well, I'm not going to be publicizing it or selling it, so to speak. So that they were originally white, but then I needed a bit of color because that, and I've got this, for example, I haven't got it set up, but if I wanted it in a list view of, like, say, the gallery, but only have the categories that I use, I can easily denote whether it's in use or not.
Yep. Yep.
And
no religion, no natural sciences. You're really cutting down your options there.
Well, no, that's I did have them all here, but like it's.
I'm just scaring you.
Yeah, I know, but like it's some of the stuff would not be like for me. These are just broad ideas, and I can go, does this fit in here, or does this fit in here?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's essentially, and it's just like, for me, I just find it that bit, well, I was showing this to a friend of mine the other day. She was like, A, you have too much time on your hands, but B, it is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, I know, I understand.
Surely you would get a lot of cred from librarians for taking a cool kid's new tool and applying something like the Dewey Decimal System, which is standing the test of time.
Yeah, it's in its 23rd edition, which is in 2011, and it continually updates to meet in different numbers or categories, or things get reclassified, moved around, become redundant.
So do you reckon you could put in a petition to get Notion its own number in the Dewey Decimal System?
No, but it could possibly already live under a number of things to do with knowledge management and stuff.
Yeah.
But it could live in nearly like be productive. Don't get me thinking on this. This is
I'm going to keep you up now.
Yeah,
Tansy, that is really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. There's so much in there. It's really great.
It's like, it's just, there is so much, and I just like, again, I just sometimes just go in and play and go, how can I, as we all do, where does
absolutely
where does that live? What can I do today?
Yeah, fantastic. I wasn't watching the questions at all, Lennon. Were you? There was a bit of chatter going on.
I think people are mentioning kind of there's an interesting fact that I didn't know, which was raised by. Let me just quickly scroll through. I think maybe it's Tiago Forte. I didn't know he originally used Notion to kind of manage some of his medical related things, and turned into how he kind of invents his second brain. That's not invented, but how he applied the second brain approach to Notion, which is fascinating. And Tansy has mentioned a couple of different things. I've tried to pin down the link. Again, she has this article that she's just written to kind of in complementary of what she's just told us. So give a little scroll to the chat section. You can find a bunch of new links. And also, Tansy mentioned Trove, which is something maybe it was 5 years ago. It was quite fascinating because I was working on a uni project, and it was actually my first project to create a web application, which I had to learn PHP, which is a different story. But the tool itself is fascinating and fantastic, and they've actually just did a rebrand last year. What you can find is a bunch of online research, newspaper, books, pretty much photos, things you can find, and they're all free. If you're ever on historical quest of finding things regarding Australia, that's where you should go.
Yeah, and if they don't have, for example, if you look at a book, if you look up a book, it'll have a link to which libraries across Australia will have it, and then links to every library that has it. But yeah, I, as a member of my state library and national library, and about, what am I up to now? I'm gonna show myself here, about 9 different libraries in Victoria, because I can.
Library database.
I have one.
Of course you do. Yeah.
I have one, but I'm not giving away all my personal membership. I'm not that stupid.
Very, very personal.
And because I just, particularly again, and living down here, which is kind of tied into this, because e-libraries are such a huge thing, and like, I'm not sure whether people know, like, because if they have a state library membership at the moment, or even some of the Geelong Library has it, you can access Ancestry from your home, which usually you can't do, but they did it during lockdown and stuff like that. So
I get on that.
Yeah, it's just another source of, like, I see it, of just another extension of, instead of like basically it was it broadening my knowledge bases that I can pull on if I need to, because I do like just going down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Tansy and Ngaire, for joining us tonight. We might do a little bit wrap up to tag at the end. Want to do a little bit preview for our next events, which is 2 weeks after. I think Tim has invited a chef from New Zealand. Have you, Tim? And we're gonna do another Build With Us session. And I just like how what a variety of topics we're kind of working on. Even tonight, like Ngaire herself run podcasts, do marketing. She's a marketer. She does like personal stuff, do yearly planning. We have Tansy, who's a librarian, look at geodecimal system while writing novels, kind of having her own system of kind of navigating the government system and stuff like that. And I think that's wonderful because like we all said, Notion is something that's gonna kind of go into different corners of your life and just try to slowly eat away each of these things. And you can just keep adding things to it. And the level of details, or like your level of proficiency of Notion, doesn't really get into the way the tool kind of grows with you together. So 2 weeks from now, Wednesday again, we'll do a Zoom session. I think this New Zealand chef is really interested in us helping her kind of lifting up her Notion space. So he has a little bit idea around food inventory. How does it tie in with his operation at the restaurant? And I think we're going to look into that. And if you are interested in that, we'll send out newsletter soon. And again, the link at the bottom of our site, at various point of the site, you can sign up to our newsletter where we will forecasting our events to you. And no spams, that's a promise. It will always be about the events. Yeah, anything you want to add, Tim?
We just had a late question, which I think we've got a couple of minutes so we could answer.
Yeah.
Luke asked, it sounds like a dodgy question. Starts out, what were you ladies doing before? That goes on to be a Notion question, so don't worry. What were you doing before Notion? Did you already have notes in another form? I think, Ngaire, you were saying you were Evernote fan.
Yeah,
sorry,
Ngaire, I'll mute. Evernote and Trello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. So I mainly used Evernote and Trello, but I also think I was a lot scrappier I wrote a bit on a piece of paper here, and I used to like write a list on a piece of paper and leave it on my desk, and then go home and for some reason not come back to the office the next day and have to like call my colleague, hi, will you take a photo of the note I put on my desk and send it to me? Because I was keeping all my information in like random places. So I used Evernote for writing, but I didn't use it for lists. Okay. You know, like task management is all a bit all over the place.
Sorry, Luke's followed up with, what are you ladies doing after the webinar?
No, get out, Luke. I will be jumping on another live stream and just listening to stuff and just enjoying the fact that, okay, this sounds bad, that I don't have to do this anymore and I can just relax.
What were you using, Tansy, before you started using Notion?
Nearly every other tool and that everybody's hooked up. I've tried Trello, tried Todoist, and I love Todoist, but I love having everything in one place more. Yeah. So, like, and the fact now that it's like, that it's free also is a huge benefit for me being on a limited income. Is like that, and Evernote, it was, and I still have that account, and like I love it, and the Notion Clipper is great. It just needs to get that little bit better. But also, I use Readwise and Air for podcasts and everything. So I've found workarounds. So like it doesn't worry me because, again, I like everything in one place. I can just go, well, I'm searching for this today, and it pops up.
Yeah. Ngaire, you reminded me. I've decided that I'm on a quest to rid the world of sticky notes. I do a lot of work with law firms, and I was talking to a client the other day. Oh no, I'm coming to you. Oh no. I have a client actually in Bairnsdale, Tansy, a law firm down there, and we had been using their Notion setup for ages, but we have recently gone on this kind of tangent building everyone personal dashboards. And one feature that I didn't think I'd never really stopped and thought about was that personal dashboards can have just like a bit of blank space on them for people to kind of write notes in. You know, we're building all these cool tools with relational databases, doing great stuff with formulas and whatever. In the end, one of the things that a bunch of their staff love the most is the blank spaces that they can write things in. And then, of course, because the blocks can go anywhere and do anything, they can pick it up and drop it straight into Task Manager or drop it into a legal file or, you know, whatever else we've created in there. But the admin lady there who I've become really good friends with was saying, I've stopped looking for pens. I've stopped going and getting Post-its. I don't need them anymore because it's
like crazy.
It's amazing.
And I do a similar thing, like where I had my lists on my dashboard, I would, like under one of those split lines, if I have something to like put somewhere, I just put it there. I just put it on the dashboard. I mean, the page is endless, right? I can just I can paste stuff and then decide where it goes later, because there's always that moment of I just need to put this somewhere now. Like I just, at least if it's in Notion, you don't have to go and find the note, or for me, dig it out of my backpack and somehow it's like under my laptop, and that seems to happen to me a lot. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. And a lot cheaper than Post-it notes.
Yes, and you know, better for the environment and all that. It's just Notion solving the world's problems.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that seems like a pretty good note to end on, Lennon.
I agree.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the chat. It's lovely to have people from all over the place just chiming in, and we really like to have a kind of casual back and forth kind of style to these things, so it's great. And thank you so much, Ngaire and Tansy. Just lovely to have you share your setups with us. It's always inspiring, and I always come away having learned a few things with a little list on the side here, not on a Post-it note.
Did you have Notion open this whole time?
Yeah, the screen there.
Notion's always open.
As well.
Very good.
And don't forget to leave your feedback on your way out. We set up a final poll just to check if you have actually learned anything, and leave any thoughts that you want for any future events. In the Ask a Question tab, there is a question for that. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much.
Bye.
See you later.
Have a good night.